You know that feeling? When you're like halfway through your morning routine, maybe making coffee, grabbing your keys, and you suddenly snap back and realize you've basically been on autopilot. From the second that alarm goes off, so much of what we do every day is just automatic. It really is like our brains are running this pre-programmed script, handling all these tiny little actions without us even thinking. So today, we're doing a deep dive into that, into the fascinating and, some pretty frustrating world of habits. We all have them. The good ones, the bad ones, the ones we wish we could just ditch. But what if you could actually rewrite that script consciously, deliberately? What if you could change your default settings, even down at the neurological level? To help us figure this out, we're digging into a really interesting article. It's called Live Free, Old Habits Die Hard by the Bearded Colonel. And what's cool about it is the argument that breaking bad habits, well, it isn't just about trying harder. It's not about more willpower. It's something deeper, a fundamental shift in how you actually see yourself, your identity. So our mission today:
unpack what habits are, sure, but also uncover this surprisingly effective strategy for letting go of the ones holding you back. And this isn't just some random idea. It's an approach backed by a Stanford expert. We're going to get into how you can understand and maybe even reshape your brain's chemical programming. Ready? Okay, let's really get into this. The article kicks off by showing just how much of our daily life is run by these habits. It uses this great example, really relatable. Rinsing your toothbrush after you put the toothpaste on. Apparently, every single time you do something like that, your brain starts paving these little neural pathways, like actual highways in your head. And here's the kicker, right? Each time you repeat it, those pathways get stronger, wider, faster, and pretty soon, bam, you're doing it automatically. Zero conscious thought. You just do it. The article puts it pretty funnily. It says you keep doing it until you get into a heated argument with your mate who only rinses his toothbrush before the toothpaste, like some sort of wild animal. And let's be honest, we've probably all met someone like that, haven't we?
We have. And that automaticity you're talking about, it's not just, a funny quirk. It's the brain being incredibly efficient. It's this principle, neuroplasticity. Our brains are constantly adapting, rewiring themselves based on what we do. So when we repeat an action, the connections between the nerve cells, the synapses, they actually get physically stronger. It's called synaptic strengthening. It just makes it easier for that same circuit to fire next time, saves mental energy. So these neurological reinforcements, that's precisely why habits get so sticky. Whether they're good for us or not, your brain isn't trying to mess with you. It's just trying to be efficient, basically.
Right. It's trying to help, but sometimes maybe helps a bit too much in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And the toothbrush thing is, well, pretty minor. But the article makes a great point. Other habits have huge impacts. Like if you automatically drive to the gym right after work, 5 o'clock hits, you're in the car heading there. That's a fantastic habit loop working for you.
Absolutely. A positive automation.
But then maybe you get to the gym and you only ever work your biz and trees. You ignore everything else. The article kind of humorously warns you might end up as a top-heavy jackass who isn't really getting a good workout.
Yes, the language is vivid, but the point is clear. A habit, but maybe not the most effective one.
Exactly. It paints a picture. We all have these mixes, right? The good habits, the maybe less than ideal ones. And I bet you listening right now, you've probably got one or two you'd like to tweak. Okay, so here's where this deep dive gets really interesting. Because the source introduces this idea for breaking habits that honestly kind of flips the script. It's called progressive extremism. Now, hang on, it sounds intense, but it's not about extreme actions. It comes from Nir Eyal, a Stanford grad, the guy who actually wrote Hooked, How to Build Habit-Forming Products.
Right, so he knows a thing or two about how habits get formed in the first place, gives him serious credibility on breaking them.
Totally. And his progressive extremism isn't about doing crazy things. It's about being extremely uncompromising about your new identity, even if the first steps are tiny. It's an extreme commitment internally to, I don't. The core idea, it's brilliant, simple, really. Frame the change around identity, not willpower. So the article gives this perfect example. Instead of battling yourself saying, ooh, I can't use my phone so much, which implies struggle, limitation, right?
Yeah, like you're depriving yourself.
Exactly. Instead, you declare firmly, I don't use my phone much. See that shift? It's subtle, but wow, it feels different. It's powerful. It's way more than just words. When you actually change how you define yourself, when you start thinking, I'm a person who uses his phone minimally, well, then your actions just start to line up with who you are. It stops being this constant fight against desire.
Exactly right.
It becomes about acting consistently with how you see yourself. You're not using that finite willpower, that stuff we know just runs out during the day.
That's the core of it. If we connect this to the bigger psychological picture, that shift from can't to don't, it taps into something much deeper than self-control. Willpower, like you said, it's like a muscle or maybe a battery. It gets depleted with every decision, every time you resist something.
Right. We've all felt that drain by the end of the day.
But identity, that's foundational. It's a core part of who we are. It's stable. So when an action lines up with your identity, it takes way less mental effort. You're not fighting yourself. You're just being you, or rather the you're choosing to be. So the whole strategy shifts, doesn't it? It goes from this constant internal battle to, well, almost effortless self-expression. It's about building a new belief about yourself, not just constantly trying to patch up the old behavior.
Okay, I get that. Willpower runs out, identity is more foundational, so it's more sustainable. But how does that translate? Like, what are the actual steps? Let's break down that blueprint from the article, because it really is like a guide for, well, rewiring things upstairs. Step 1. Identify. Sounds basic, maybe, but you got to be crystal clear. Pinpoint the exact habit. So not just use my phone less, but maybe absent-mindedly picking up my phone when I'm bored. Get specific.
Clarity is key at the start. You need a precise target.
Then, step 2, start small. And this is where that progressive extremism really shows up, kind of counterintuitively. You pick a tiny piece of the habit, something that is ridiculously easy to stop doing, effortless, something you can genuinely say, I will never do this again, and mean it without any struggle. The article has this brilliant example. If you, say, never got into playing Temple Run back when everyone else did, you can confidently, truthfully state, I do not play Temple Run.
Don't.
See? Instantly true.
Right.
You've started the identity shift right there, defining yourself by what you don't do, even if it's something you never did anyway.
It anchors the new identity immediately.
Or, okay, something harder, like quitting smoking. The article calls it the hardest habit to kick. You find a trigger you don't currently act on. Maybe you don't smoke while you're walking. Perfect. That's your starting point. I don't smoke while walking. Make a list, the source says, of these little things you will no longer ever do. You're already breaking the habit in a way, but crucially, without feeling any resistance.
And what's so fascinating there is how powerful those tiny, effortless steps are. It goes against our usual instinct, doesn't it? We tend to think, okay, gotta go big, cold turkey.
Right. All or nothing.
But that often triggers the brain's resistance. It sees hard and pushes back, uses up that executive function, leads to failure. This approach, it just sidesteps the resistance. By making these I don't statements immediately true, effortlessly true, you're reinforcing the new identity instantly. You build self-belief not through struggle, but through actual undeniable success. Little wins. It's not just momentum. It's about minimizing the cognitive load, the mental effort, while that new identity takes root. No fight needed.
I love that. Minimizing the cognitive load makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Which leads perfectly into step 3. Wait, and then reevaluate. Patience is everything here. And knowing yourself. The article is really clear. If you think about the next little step, and it feels hard, like, oof, that'll be tough.
You've overshot.
Exactly. You've gone too far, too fast. Pull back. The next action you choose must still feel effortless, no willpower required. So sticking with the examples. Once you're solid as a person who doesn't play Temple Run, maybe the next step is, I don't check my phone while ordering coffee. Easy enough.
Manageable, yeah.
Or, I only use my phone for music at the gym, not scrolling. For the smoker, maybe after mastering no smoking while walking, it's time for, I don't have that first cigarette in the morning, or the one right after dinner. But again, the article stresses, this next step cannot feel difficult. It has to be something you can genuinely feel proud of not doing forever.
It needs to feel like a natural extension of who you are now becoming.
Yes, a natural extension, not a chore. And that brings us to step 4. Continue. Just keep doing it. Keep reevaluating. What new change feels effortless now? And the article warns again, do not rush this.
Crucial warning.
Because if you try to speed it up, you'll feel that discomfort, that resistance, and those changes won't stick. They won't become part of your identity.
They'll feel foreign.
Right? Like something tacked on, not integrated. And you'll likely just revert. This is about building a new you, layer by layer, not just putting on a temporary costume.
And this raises that question again about what's happening underneath neurologically. Because what we're describing, it isn't just a clever mind game. It's actually how you start to rewire those neural circuits. By consistently choosing these effortless I don't actions, You're literally forging new connections, new pathways for the behavior you want.
So you're paving new roads.
Exactly. And at the same time, by not doing the old habit, you're basically starving those old unwanted pathways. You're not reinforcing them. So they weaken. They atrophy. It's use it or lose it for neural pathways, too. This gradual, identity-focused process, it actually makes that neuroplastic change happen. It reshapes your brain's actual structure and chemical signaling. It shows how adaptable our brains are, but you retrain it gently with consistency, patience, and this deep understanding of how identity drives what we do, not brute force.
Yeah, I know that sometimes this identity talk can sound a bit, well, fluffy maybe, abstract.
It can seem that way initially.
But the article really hammers it home.
Yeah.
It's very important to truly think of yourself as a person who doesn't do X.
Mm-hmm.
Because the power of that self-identity, it's extremely powerful. It's like an anchor for your action.
Yeah,
Much more reliable than willpower, which just comes and goes.
absolutely. It's the bedrock.
And the promise here, it's just incredibly empowering when you think about it. Follow these steps. Identify. Start tiny. Wait and reevaluate. Continue consistently. And you can literally start to rewire your brain. Change habits at the chemical level. You really do start small and work your way up. Becoming a new version of yourself. One little effortless I don't at a time. It's not just stopping something. It's like evolving who you are.
It's true transformation, starting small.
The article throws out a few other ideas listeners could apply this to. Think about it. Drinking soda all the time. Watching maybe a bit too much TV. Procrastinating. Or always ducking out of work social events. Where could you start with a tiny I don't? Maybe for procrastination, it's I don't check Instagram before I open that big project file. Small, right? But it starts the shift.
It begins the process, yes.
But the article couldn't resist adding this one last bit of advice, and honestly, it's gold. But above all else, and on behalf of everyone everywhere, stop taking selfies in the gym mirrors.
Huh. Sound advice.
Please. It's funny, but it also kind of brings it home, makes the core message stick in a really memorable way.
So let's recap. We've dug into how habits form those deep, efficient brain pathways that run so much of our lives. And more importantly, we've unpacked this really powerful science-backed strategy, using identity, not just willpower, to break the habits that aren't serving us. Remember that core idea. Become a person who doesn't do X. It's a mindset shift, a profound one.
And if we just zoom out for a second, connecting this to the bigger picture, understanding this progressive, identity-based approach, it's not just about quitting soda or spending less time on your phone. It's really a blueprint for conscious self-evolution. It gives you this powerful, practical framework for taking charge of your actions, your choices, and ultimately for deliberately shaping the person you actually want to be. Not just for today, but sustainably, for good. It's about building an authentic self that matches your goals. It's genuine, long-term growth. More than just breaking one habit, it's about constructing a better you.
So here's a thought to leave you with. What's one tiny, truly effortless I don't that you could implement, like right now, today? Something that aligns with the person you want to become. Start small, but start defining that new identity right now. You might just surprise yourself with who you start becoming.